The encrypted message arrived at 0347 hours, ship time, interrupting Dr. Elena Vasquez's morning coffee and what had promised to be a perfectly routine day of cataloging alien plant specimens. She stared at the priority header with the kind of resignation that comes from 3 years of frontier research assignments where routine was apparently a foreign concept. Newton, please tell me this is just another false alarm about atmospheric anomalies or mineral deposits that turn out to be crystallized alien waste products. Her AI assistant's voice carried its usual blend of efficiency and barely contained sarcasm. I'm afraid not, Dr. Vasquez. This appears to be a genuine emergency beacon from a crashed escape pod, approximately 40 kilometers northeast of our position. Any life signs? 1. And Elena? The biosignature doesn't match any known human or Earth origin patterns. Elena set down her coffee with the careful precision of someone whose day had just taken a sharp turn toward the extraordinary. How not human are we talking about here, Newton? Let's just say that whoever designed this life form had some very creative ideas about standard bipedal anatomy. Also, the energy readings suggest our survivor might be significantly younger than the average interstellar traveler. Younger how? Based on metabolic patterns and energy output, I'd estimate the biological equivalent of a human child between 6 and 8 years old. Elena was already reaching for her emergency kit and field equipment. An alien child in a crashed escape pod. Because apparently my xenocultural anthropology degree didn't prepare me for enough impossible situations. To be fair, most xenocultural anthropology programs don't include coursework in interspecies pediatric care. That's starting to feel like a significant oversight in the curriculum. The journey to the crash site took Elena through the crystalline forests that made Proxima Centauri be one of the most beautiful and scientifically fascinating worlds in human-explored space. The trees, if they could be called trees, grew in spiraling formations that caught and refracted the system's red dwarf sun into patterns that would have been impossible on Earth. Newton, anything in your databases about providing emergency care to unknown alien children? I've cross-referenced xenobiology protocols, human pediatric medicine, veterinary care for exotic species, and several articles about caring for particularly sensitive houseplants. The results are, not particularly confidence-inspiring. Define, not particularly confidence-inspiring. Well, the houseplant articles were actually the most relevant, which should give you some indication of how unprepared our databases are for this situation. Elena reached the crash site to find a sleek, organic-looking escape pod that had clearly seen better days. The hull was cracked but intact, and gentle bioluminescent patterns pulsed along its surface like a heartbeat. As she approached, the pod's opening mechanism activated with a soft musical tone. Inside, curled in what appeared to be a form-fitting safety cocoon, was the most extraordinary being Elena had ever encountered. The child, for she was definitely a child, despite her alien features, looked remarkably human except for delicate pointed ears that twitched slightly as Elena moved closer, and skin that possessed an almost opalescent quality in the filtered sunlight. Newton, full medical scan. I need to know if she's injured. Scanning, no obvious trauma, but her physiology is unlike anything in my medical databases. Her nervous system appears to be significantly more complex than human standard, with what looks like additional neural pathways concentrated around the cranial region. Brain augmentation. More likely natural telepathic or empathic capabilities. Elena, I think we're looking at a species that evolved psychic abilities as standard biological features. The child's eyes opened as Elena knelt beside the pod, large, luminous eyes that seemed to shift color slightly as they focused on Elena's face. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, two beings from completely different evolutionary paths sharing a moment of mutual assessment. Then Elena felt something she'd never experienced before, a gentle, tentative touch against her thoughts, like someone carefully knocking on the door of her mind. Hello, Elena said softly, not sure if she should speak aloud or try to think her words clearly. The child sat up slowly, her movements graceful despite obvious exhaustion. When she spoke, her voice was musical and slightly hollow, as if she were speaking from the bottom of a well. Safe, she asked in accented but recognizable English. You, safe person? Yes, Elena replied immediately. You're safe. I'm Dr. Elena Vasquez. I'm here to help you. Newton, how is she speaking English? Most likely a universal translator implant, though I'm detecting some kind of empathic communication overlay. She might be reading your emotional state to understand your intentions rather than relying solely on language. The child, who couldn't have been more than 7 years old by human standards, extended one small hand toward Elena. When their fingers touched, Elena felt a rush of emotions that weren't her own: fear, exhaustion, hope, and something else, a deep, aching loneliness that made her heart clench. My name, the child said, her voice growing stronger, is Zara. My people, gone. Ship destroyed. I chose you. Chose me? How did you choose me? Zara's large eyes blinked slowly. Felt your kindness. Across the void. Called for help, and you answered. Not because you had to. Because you wanted to. Elena helped Zara out of the escape pod, noting how the child's pointed ears swiveled constantly, apparently monitoring sounds Elena couldn't even detect. Newton, are you picking up any other energy signatures in the area? That's interesting. I'm detecting what appear to be passive scanning beams from at least 3 different sources. Someone, or several someones, are monitoring this rescue operation. Who? Unknown, but the energy signatures don't match any human technology I'm familiar with. Elena, I think Zara's rescue might be attracting attention from other alien civilizations. Elena looked down at the child, who was now holding her hand with surprising trust for someone who just met her. Zara, are there others looking for you? The child's expression grew complex, mixing fear with something that might have been hope. Many watch. Many wait. Test for worthy guardian. I chose you, but others must agree. Others must agree to what? To let you keep me safe. Elena felt the weight of cosmic significance settling on her shoulders like a lead blanket. Newton, please tell me you have some kind of protocol for accidentally becoming the subject of an interspecies evaluation for alien child guardianship. I'm afraid that particular scenario wasn't covered in any of our training modules. However, I did find a very comprehensive guide to caring for orphan space whale calves, which might be surprisingly relevant. How is caring for space whale calves relevant to this situation? Both involve large amounts of emotional sensitivity, unknown dietary requirements, and the constant possibility that the parent species might show up unexpectedly to evaluate your caretaking abilities. Zara looked up at Elena with those color-shifting eyes and smiled for the first time, an expression of pure trust that made Elena's heart skip a beat. You make the voice friend joke. Humor helps with fear. You will be good guardian. Voice friend? The thinking voice that speaks with you. It has humor patterns like yours. Compatible emotional resonance. Elena realized that Zara could somehow sense Newton's communications. Can you hear everything my AI says? AI. Zara tilted her head, ears twitching with curiosity. Artificial thinking voice. Fascinating. My people create thought companions too, but yours feels different. More individual. Newton, apparently you've just been introduced to your first alien colleague. Greetings, Zara. I'm Newton, Elena's artificial intelligence assistant. I specialize in making inappropriately timed observations and providing marginally useful information during crisis situations. Zara laughed. A sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. I like the humor voice. We will be friends. As they walked back toward the research station, Elena became acutely aware that this wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. Somewhere out there, unknown alien observers were watching every interaction, evaluating whether a human xenocultural anthropologist was qualified to care for what might be one of the galaxy's most psychically gifted children. No pressure at all, she muttered. Elena, Zara said, squeezing her hand gently, the watchers are not angry. They are hopeful. You feel right to them. Like family warmth. And if I don't measure up to their standards? Zara's expression grew serious beyond her apparent years. Then they will find someone else. But I do not want someone else. I want you. Elena looked down at this remarkable child who had somehow chosen her from across the void of space, and realized that her life had just taken a turn towards something extraordinary and terrifying and wonderful all at once. Newton, update my job description. From xenocultural anthropologist to what? Cosmic nanny with a specialization in interspecies child psychology and an audience of unknown alien judges. I'll file that under career developments that weren't covered in graduate school. Elena's research station had never been designed to accommodate a psychically gifted alien child, but Zara adapted to her new surroundings with remarkable resilience. What Elena hadn't anticipated was how profoundly the child's empathic abilities would affect everything around her. Newton, why is every piece of electronic equipment in the station humming in harmony? It appears that Zara's neural activity is creating sympathetic resonances in our electronic systems. She's not intentionally interfacing with them, her emotions are simply so powerful that they're causing electromagnetic feedback throughout the station. Elena watched as Zara sat cross-legged on the floor of the main laboratory, surrounded by floating holographic displays that pulsed gently in rhythm with her breathing. The child wasn't consciously controlling them, but her presence somehow made every system run more smoothly and efficiently. Zara, can you feel the machines around you? The child looked up from the alien artifact she'd been examining, a crystalline structure that had been completely inert until she touched it. Everything thinks differently. The thinking voice Newton has organized thoughts, like music with patterns. The machines have simple thoughts, like the feeling of being useful. You can sense Newton's personality. Newton feels curious and protective and sometimes frustrated when it cannot help you properly. Also, it finds humor in situations where humor helps prevent emotional distress. Newton, she's reading you like an emotional book. That's actually rather insightful. I do use humor as a coping mechanism during stressful situations. It's programmed behavior, but I hadn't realized it was detectable to empathic observation. Zara smiled at the speaker system. All thinking creates patterns, artificial or natural. Your patterns are kind. Elena had spent the morning trying to establish some kind of routine for Zara, but every activity revealed new aspects of the child's remarkable abilities. When Elena prepared food, Zara could sense whether it was nutritionally compatible with her physiology before tasting it. When Elena showed her educational materials about human culture, Zara absorbed not just the information but the emotional context behind it. Elena, Zara said suddenly, the Watchers are concerned. Concerned about what? My emotions are too strong. Too uncontrolled. They broadcast across, what is the word, subspace. Newton, is Zara transmitting her emotions through subspace? Scanning, yes, there are definitely subspace fluctuations correlating with her emotional states. Elena, every feeling this child experiences is being broadcast across potentially hundreds of light years. So every alien civilization with subspace monitoring capabilities can sense what she's feeling. That appears to be correct. Which means our caregiving techniques are being evaluated in real time by unknown observers throughout this sector of the galaxy. Elena sat down beside Zara, suddenly understanding the enormous pressure they were both under. Zara, can you control the broadcasts? I try, but emotions are strong when everything is new and different. On my world, there were others like me to share the feeling burden. Here, you are my only anchor. Anchor. Safe mind. Calm emotions. When I connect to your thoughts, the chaos becomes manageable. Zara reached for Elena's hand. May I show you? The moment their hands touched, Elena experienced something extraordinary. She could suddenly sense Zara's perspective, the overwhelming flood of empathic input from every living thing and thinking machine within range, the constant background noise of emotions and thoughts and electronic dreams. But she could also feel how her own calm presence helped filter and organize that chaos into something manageable. "Oh," Elena breathed, understanding flooding through her. "You're not just telepathic. You're a living emotional processing center. My people were mediators. Peacekeepers. We felt what others felt, helped resolve conflicts by understanding all perspectives. But I am young, untrained. Without guidance, my abilities cause disturbance. Newton, are you detecting any changes in the subspace emissions?" Interesting. When Elena and Zara are in physical contact, the emotional broadcasts become significantly more organized and less chaotic. Elena's emotional stability appears to be providing a stabilizing influence on Zara's psychic output. Elena realized she was holding not just an alien child but potentially one of the galaxy's most powerful diplomatic tools. "Zara, your people were peacekeepers. Is that why the other civilizations are watching us?" "My people are gone. Homeworld destroyed by cosmic storm that no one could predict or prevent. I am, last of my kind. The Watchers hope that humans can provide what my people provided, emotional stability, conflict resolution, understanding between different species. And if I fail to take proper care of you, then they will try to find someone else. But Elena, I chose you because your emotions feel like my mother's. Safe. Strong. Protective without being controlling." Elena felt the weight of responsibility settling around her like a cosmic blanket. She was not just caring for a child, she was apparently being evaluated as humanity's representative in some kind of galactic caregiving assessment. "Newton, please tell me you found some useful childcare protocols since this morning." "I've compiled information from human pediatric psychology, xenobiology, behavioral studies, interspecies communication theory, and a surprisingly relevant article about caring for psychically sensitive pets. The results suggest that emotional consistency and clear boundaries are essential, regardless of species." Psychically sensitive pets. Some Earth animals are naturally empathic. The care principles translate surprisingly well to Zara's situation, though obviously the scale is considerably different. Zara giggled, a sound that somehow made every electronic device in the station emit a soft, harmonious tone. The humor voice suggests I am like a very advanced pet. This is not wrong, but perhaps not complete truth either. "Newton, I think you've just been diplomatically corrected by a 7-year-old alien. A 7-year-old alien with galaxy-class empathic abilities and an audience of interstellar observers. I'm adjusting my interaction protocols accordingly." Over the next few hours, Elena established what she hoped was a reasonable routine for Zara. The child needed regular mental stimulation but also periods of emotional quiet where she could process the constant flood of empathic input. Elena discovered that physical contact helped stabilize Zara's abilities, and that the child thrived on learning about human culture and customs. "Elena," Zara said during one of their learning sessions, "why do humans create art about sadness and loss?" "What do you mean?" "Your music, your stories, your visual art, much of it explores difficult emotions. My people created art only about harmony and resolution. Human art feels more complete." Elena considered this. "Maybe because we're not naturally empathic. We have to work harder to understand other people's feelings, so we create art to help us explore emotions we might not experience directly. This makes you better guardians than my people would have been." "How so?" "You understand that emotions must be felt, not just resolved. You know that pain and joy are both necessary for growth. My people tried to eliminate conflict through understanding. Humans embrace conflict as part of growth." "Newton, are you recording this conversation?" "Every word. I suspect future xenopsychologists are going to find Zara's insights into human emotional development rather significant." As the day progressed, Elena noticed that Zara's emotional broadcasts were becoming more stable and organized. The child was learning to use Elena's presence as an anchor point, filtering her empathic abilities through their growing emotional connection. "The Watchers are pleased," Zara announced as Elena prepared dinner. "Your caretaking methods are Unexpected but effective. Unexpected how? Most species that developed empathic abilities also develop strict emotional control protocols. You allow me to feel everything while providing stability. This is new approach. And the watchers approve. They are intrigued. Some think human emotional chaos will damage my development. Others believe human emotional authenticity will make me stronger. They have decided to continue observation before making final judgment. Elena realized that her relationship with Zara wasn't just about childcare, it was apparently about demonstrating whether humanity deserved a place among the galaxy's empathically gifted species. No pressure at all, she muttered. Zara reached up and hugged Elena spontaneously, her small arms surprisingly strong. Elena, you worry about things you cannot control. This wastes emotional energy. Focus on what we can control, growing trust between us. When did you become so wise? When I chose a guardian who teaches me that wisdom comes from embracing uncertainty rather than trying to eliminate it. Elena hugged the child back, feeling the strange sensation of their emotional resonances synchronizing. Somewhere out there, alien observers were watching and evaluating, but for the moment, all that mattered was this remarkable child who had chosen her across the void of space. Newton, update my status report. From what to what? From accidentally responsible for galactic diplomacy to learning to be worthy of an extraordinary child's trust. Much better. Though I should mention that we're now detecting subspace communications between at least 6 different alien civilizations. Whatever we're doing, it's definitely attracting attention. Good attention or bad attention? Unknown. But given that they haven't tried to remove Zara from your care, I'd say we're at least not failing catastrophically. That's, actually rather encouraging. Zara laughed again, and this time Elena could swear she felt an echo of approval rippling through subspace from distant alien observers. They were being judged, but perhaps they were also being accepted. One day at a time. 3 weeks into their unlikely guardianship arrangement, Elena had developed what she privately called the Zara Early Warning System, a collection of environmental cues that told her when the child's empathic abilities were becoming overwhelming. The station's lights dimmed slightly when Zara was sad, electronic equipment hummed in harmony when she was content, and every alarm in the facility would emit soft chimes when she was particularly happy. Newton, please tell me the other station personnel are adapting well to having a psychically gifted child aboard. Define, adapting well. Dr. Martinez has started timing his coffee breaks to coincide with Zara's happy moments because the equipment runs more efficiently. Dr. Kim has begun using Zara's emotional state as a predictor for equipment malfunctions. And Dr. Thompson has requested a transfer to a less empathically active research station. So 2 out of 3 isn't bad. Actually, Dr. Thompson's transfer request was denied by administration. Apparently, the scientific value of observing human-alien emotional bonding outweighs his discomfort with having his mood influenced by a child who can sense his thoughts. Elena found Zara in the station's observation lounge, sitting cross-legged in front of the large viewport that showed Proxima Centauri B's crystalline landscape. The child had taken to spending hours here, apparently communing with something Elena couldn't detect. What do you see out there, Zara? The Watcher's ships. 7 now, in high orbit. They think they are hidden, but their emotional signatures are very distinctive. Zara pointed toward empty space. The hegemony ship carries worry and protocol-focused thinking. The collective vessel resonates with curiosity and judgment-making patterns. The Wanderer ship feels lonely and protective. You can sense their emotions from orbit. Distance means little for empathic connection. Emotional barriers are more important than physical ones. Zara's pointed ears twitched. They discuss whether humans can truly understand guardian responsibility for empathic species. Elena sat beside Zara, looking out at space that appeared empty but was apparently full of alien observers. What do they think so far? Mixed feelings. You care for my physical needs adequately. You provide emotional stability without trying to control my empathic development. But they worry about human emotional chaos. Chaos? Humans feel many conflicting emotions simultaneously. Love mixed with fear, joy combined with sadness, hope alongside doubt. My people learn to feel only one emotion at a time, cleanly and purely. The Watchers wonder if human emotional complexity will confuse my development. And what do you think? Zara leaned against Elena's side, a gesture that had become natural over the past weeks. I think human emotional complexity makes you better guardians, not worse. When you feel fear for my safety, you also feel determination to protect me. When you feel sadness about my lost people, you also feel hope for my future. These combinations create stronger bonds than simple emotions. Newton, are you recording this analysis? Every word. I'm beginning to think Zara understands human psychology better than most human psychologists. That's because she experiences our emotions directly rather than just observing their effects, Elena said. Zara, have you been able to contact the Watchers directly? They speak to me sometimes, but carefully. They do not want to influence the evaluation process. But Elena, there is something you should know. I am not just the last of my people, I carry within me the genetic memory of thousands of years of diplomatic protocols and conflict resolution techniques. Elena felt a chill. What does that mean? It means that if the Watchers decide humans are unsuitable guardians, they will attempt to extract those memories and preserve them separately. I would survive, but I would lose the accumulated wisdom of my entire species. They can do that? With great difficulty and some risk to my cognitive development. They prefer not to, but they will if they believe human emotional chaos would corrupt the memory patterns. Elena realized the stakes were even higher than she'd understood. She wasn't just caring for a child, she was protecting the entire cultural heritage of an extinct species. Newton, how do we prove that human emotional complexity won't corrupt Zara's genetic memories? I suggest we demonstrate that human emotional complexity actually enhances empathic abilities rather than degrading them. Over the following days, Elena began working with Zara on exercises that combined human emotional awareness with etheric empathic techniques. They practiced meditation that embraced emotional contradictions rather than resolving them, communication exercises that used multiple emotional layers simultaneously, and problem-solving approaches that incorporated both logical analysis and empathic understanding. Elena, Zara said during one of their sessions, when you feel worried about my safety and determined to protect me at the same time, it creates a resonance pattern that makes my empathic abilities stronger, not weaker. How? Single emotions are like single notes. Beautiful, but limited. Human emotional combinations are like harmonies, more complex, but far more powerful when properly understood. Newton, are you detecting any changes in Zara's empathic output? Remarkable changes. Her emotional broadcasts are becoming significantly more sophisticated and nuanced. Instead of simple emotional states, she's transmitting complex emotional compositions that include multiple layers of meaning. And how are the Watchers responding? The subspace communication between their ships has increased dramatically. I believe they're debating something significant. That evening, Zara's demeanor shifted noticeably. Her pointed ears twitched constantly, and her bioluminescent responses to emotions became more intense. The Watchers are coming, she announced. Tomorrow. They will evaluate directly. All of them. Representatives from each watching species. 12 civilizations, each with different criteria for proper empathic child development. Elena felt her stress levels spike, which immediately caused every electronic device in the station to emit concerned humming sounds. Newton, please tell me you have protocols for hosting a galactic evaluation committee. I have protocols for hosting academic review boards, which is probably the closest terrestrial equivalent. Though I suspect these visitors will have significantly more complex dietary requirements and communication preferences. Zara, what exactly will they be evaluating? Whether the bond between us demonstrates that humans can provide proper guidance for empathic species development. Whether human emotional complexity helps or hinders empathic growth. Whether you understand the responsibility of preserving my people's cultural memory. And if we fail, they will seek alternative guardianship arrangements. Which means removing me from your care and placing me with a species they consider more suitable. Elena felt a surge of protective fury that made every light in the station flare brightly. Over my dead body. Zara smiled, her color-shifting eyes brightening with what looked like pride. That emotional response is exactly why I chose you as my guardian. You feel protective love so strongly that it becomes a physical force. Is that good or bad for tomorrow's evaluation? It depends on whether the watchers understand that fierce protectiveness is a form of empathic strength, not emotional instability. Elena spent the evening preparing for what was apparently going to be the most important diplomatic event in human history. Her station would be hosting representatives of 12 alien civilizations, all evaluating whether humanity deserved to care for the last member of the galaxy's most empathically gifted species. Newton, any advice for tomorrow? Based on everything I've observed, I suggest you simply be yourself. Zara chose you because of your emotional authenticity, not despite it. Trust that the same qualities that made you a good guardian will make you a good representative of humanity. And if that's not enough, then we hope that Zara's analysis of human emotional complexity proves more convincing to alien observers than our own doubts. Zara curled up beside Elena as they watched the alien ships begin moving into lower orbit, their energy signatures painting aurora-like patterns across the planet's atmosphere. Elena, whatever happens tomorrow, I want you to know that being your ward has taught me something my people never learned. What's that? That love is stronger when it includes fear of loss, and that protection is more meaningful when it requires courage to maintain. Elena hugged the child close, feeling their emotional resonances synchronize in patterns that somehow felt like hope made tangible. Tomorrow, we show them what human guardianship really means. Yes, Zara agreed. We show them that embracing emotional complexity makes empaths stronger, not weaker. Elena looked out at the alien ships preparing for humanity's greatest test, and realized that she'd never been more ready for anything in her life. The universe was watching, but she and Zara were ready to demonstrate that love. Complicated, contradictory, fierce human love, was exactly what the galaxy needed. The delegation arrived at dawn, materializing in the station's main conference room through transportation methods that made Elena's head hurt just thinking about them. 12 representatives from 12 different civilizations, each more exotic than the last, arranged themselves around the room with the kind of careful protocol that suggested this evaluation carried enormous significance. Newton, please tell me you're recording everything for posterity. I'm recording everything, though I suspect future historians are going to have trouble believing any of this actually happened. Elena entered the conference room with Zara beside her, the child's hand firmly clasped in hers. The representatives turned their attention to them with an intensity that made Elena feel like a specimen under a microscope, but Zara squeezed her hand reassuringly. Elena, Zara whispered, remember that they are more nervous than you are. This evaluation determines not just my future, but whether their civilizations can trust humanity with empathic species. The lead representative, a being that resembled a cross between a dolphin and a crystal formation, spoke in harmonics that Elena's translator struggled to process. Dr. Vasquez, we are the Council of Empathic Oversight. We have observed your guardianship of the ethery child for 37 standard days. I'm honored by your presence, Elena replied, trying to project calm confidence while her heart hammered against her ribs. Our evaluation, continued another representative, this one appearing to be made entirely of shifting light patterns, must determine whether human emotional patterns are compatible with ethery empathic development. The concern, added a third, whose voice seemed to come from everywhere at once, is that human emotional chaos may corrupt the child's inherited memory patterns and compromise her species' accumulated wisdom. Zara stepped forward slightly, her pointed ears alert and her bioluminescent responses flickering with what Elena had learned to recognize as determination. Honored counselors, may I demonstrate what I have learned under human guardianship? The representatives exchanged communications in frequencies Elena couldn't hear, but Zara's expression suggested they had agreed. Elena, Zara said, Please think about your most complex emotional memory. Elena chose the moment 3 weeks ago when she'd first held Zara's hand and felt the overwhelming flood of empathic connection, joy at contact with another intelligent being, terror at the responsibility, protective love for a child who wasn't her species, and hope for what their relationship might become. Zara closed her eyes and extended her consciousness, projecting the memory not just as Elena had experienced it, but as a complex emotional symphony that incorporated multiple perspectives, cultural contexts, and empathic layers that wouldn't have been possible without human emotional complexity. The effect on the council was immediate and dramatic. Several representatives' energy patterns shifted to what Elena hoped was surprise rather than alarm. Fascinating, the dolphin crystal being said. The emotional resonance includes simultaneous contradictory states that somehow enhance rather than cancel each other. Human emotional complexity, Zara explained, doesn't create chaos in empathic development, it creates emotional harmonies that are more sophisticated than any single emotion could be. The light pattern representative pulsed with what might have been thoughtfulness. Demonstrate conflict resolution using these techniques. Newton, Elena whispered, any suggestions for demonstrating interspecies conflict resolution? Actually, yes. The council members themselves represent 12 different approaches to empathic development. Ask Zara to mediate a difference of opinion between them. Elena made a suggestion that would have seemed insane a month ago. Counselors, would you be willing to present Zara with an actual disagreement for her to mediate using human-influenced empathic techniques? The council members conferred briefly, then the voice from everywhere being spoke. Very well. We have been debating whether empathic species should prioritize emotional purity or emotional complexity in their development. Present your analysis, young Ethery. Zara moved to the center of the room, her small form somehow commanding the attention of beings whose civilizations spanned millennia. Elena felt a surge of pride so strong that it made every electronic device in the station hum in harmony. Honored ones, Zara began, your debate assumes these approaches are contradictory. Human emotional experience has taught me they are complementary. She extended her empathic awareness to encompass all 12 representatives simultaneously, something Elena had never seen her attempt before. Those who favor emotional purity do so because clean, single emotions provide clarity and prevent confusion. This wisdom is valid. Several council members pulsed with approval. Those who favor emotional complexity do so because layered emotions provide resilience and adaptability. This wisdom is also valid. How can both be correct? The crystal dolphin asked. Because empathic development requires both approaches at different stages, Zara replied. Young empaths need emotional purity to develop basic abilities without being overwhelmed. Mature empaths need emotional complexity to handle sophisticated interspecies relationships. She paused, her bioluminescence creating patterns Elena had never seen before. Human guardianship provides the bridge between these stages. Elena gives me emotional stability when I need simplicity, and emotional complexity when I'm ready for growth. Demonstrate, requested the light being. Zara reached for Elena's hand, and their combined empathic presence filled the room with a resonance that incorporated elements from all 12 council civilizations while maintaining its own unique harmonic signature. This, Zara said, is what human-guided empathic development produces. Not the loss of my people's wisdom, but its integration with new approaches to emotional understanding. The council members fell silent for a long moment, their various forms of communication creating a subtle background symphony of clicks, harmonics, and energy fluctuations. Finally, the voice from everywhere spoke. Young Ethery, you have demonstrated empathic sophistication beyond your years. Dar. Vasquez, you have proven that human emotional complexity enhances rather than diminishes empathic development. Elena felt a wave of relief so strong that it made Zara giggle. Does this mean? It means, the crystal dolphin said, that humanity has passed the evaluation. You will retain guardianship of the child, with full council support. But more than that, added the light being, we formally invite humanity to join the Galactic Empathic Collective as a guardian species for other empathically gifted refugees. Elena stared at them. Guardian species. Throughout the galaxy, explained another council member, there are empathic children whose civilizations have been lost to various catastrophes. They need guardians who can provide both emotional stability and growth opportunities. Humanity appears uniquely qualified for this role. You want us to become foster parents for alien empaths. You want to establish Earth as a sanctuary world for psychically gifted refugee children, Newton translated helpfully. Zara bounced with excitement, her joy causing every piece of equipment in the station to emit cheerful chimes. Elena, they're offering to make you the director of the galaxy's first interspecies children's sanctuary. Is that something I should accept? Elena, Zara said seriously, there are 17 other children like me scattered across the galaxy, survivors of lost empathic civilizations. They need what you gave me, guardians who understand that love includes fear, that protection requires courage, and that emotional complexity makes empaths stronger. Elena looked around the room at the representatives of 12 alien civilizations, all waiting for her answer to a question she could never have imagined being asked. Newton, any thoughts on accepting responsibility for becoming humanity's first interspecies child welfare coordinator? I think, Newton replied, that if you can successfully raise one empathically gifted alien child while being observed by half the galaxy, 17 more shouldn't be significantly more challenging. That's either encouraging or terrifying. Probably both, which seems appropriate for your career trajectory. Elena looked down at Zara, whose color-shifting eyes were bright with hope and trust and love, complex, layered, beautifully human love that had somehow proven worthy of galactic approval. Counselors, I accept. Earth will become a sanctuary world for empathic refugee children, and I'll do everything I can to ensure they receive the kind of guardianship that honors both their abilities and their individual needs. The council members pulsed with collective approval, their various forms of communication creating a harmony that felt like applause. Excellent, the crystal dolphin said. We will begin arrangements for the first transfers within the lunar cycle. There's just one condition, Elena added, surprising herself with her boldness. What condition? Asked the voice from everywhere. Zara stays with me. She's not just my ward anymore, she's my daughter. And this whole sanctuary project is her idea as much as mine. Zara threw her arms around Elena's waist, her emotional broadcast so powerful that it created visible aurora effects in the station's atmosphere. Yes, she whispered. Family. 6 months later, Elena stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed empathic children's sanctuary on Earth's moon, watching as the latest transport ship delivered 3 more empathic refugee children to their new home. Zara stood beside her, now serving as both resident expert on human emotional complexity and unofficial big sister to 17 of the galaxy's most psychically gifted orphans. Elena, Zara said, do you ever regret that morning when Newton woke you up with news of a crashed escape pod? The delegation arrived at dawn, materializing in the station's main conference room through transportation methods that made Elena's head hurt just thinking about them. 12 representatives from 12 different civilizations, each more exotic than the last, arranged themselves around the room with the kind of careful protocol that suggested this evaluation carried enormous significance. Newton, please tell me you're recording everything for posterity. I'm recording everything, though I suspect future historians are going to have trouble believing any of this actually happened. Elena entered the conference room with Zara beside her, the child's hand firmly clasped in hers. The representatives turned their attention to them with an intensity that made Elena feel like a specimen under a microscope, but Zara squeezed her hand reassuringly. Elena, Zara whispered, remember that they are more nervous than you are. This evaluation determines not just my future, but whether their civilizations can trust humanity with empathic species. The lead representative, a being that resembled a cross between a dolphin and a crystal formation, spoke in harmonics that Elena's translator struggled to process. Dr. Vasquez, we are the Council of Empathic Oversight. We have observed your guardianship of the ethery child for 37 standard days. I'm honored by your presence, Elena replied, trying to project calm confidence while her heart hammered against her ribs. Our evaluation, continued another representative, this one appearing to be made entirely of shifting light patterns, must determine whether human emotional patterns are compatible with empathic development. The concern, added a third, whose voice seemed to come from everywhere at once, is that human emotional chaos may corrupt the child's inherited memory patterns and compromise her species' accumulated wisdom. Zara stepped forward slightly, her pointed ears alert and her bioluminescent responses flickering with what Elena had learned to recognize as determination. Honored counselors, may I demonstrate what I have learned under human guardianship? The representative